Hello again, everyone. We are the vinyl community, Guncles, here to salute Neil Young with the Neil Young playlist battle that includes Neil Young and Crazy Horse, but does not include, if I'm correct here, it does not include Buffalo Springfield, right?
No.
No.
I did
Okay.
not include any Buffalo
Okay,
Springfield in
because there's
my
all kinds of
list.
great Buffalo Springfield songs that would have made it even
Oh,
longer. So,
Yeah, no, because then my list would have been 30 songs long.
right. Okay. So
Or
just Neil Young.
CNSY.
Or Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young, right?
Yeah.
Just Neil Young and Crazy Horse. I'm Robert Fithen, along with Richard from Calvin Wazoo, Mike from Hubtunes, and ladies and gentlemen, the man that thought jackhammer sex meant that they just do it quick and hit the road, Craig from Craig's Vinyl Plethora.
I, that's not what it is.
Hi,
You'll have to go to the
It's
jackhammer when you come
hit
to
the
Chicago
road because a
again.
jackhammer hits the road anyway.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that's not what it is. What?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I did bleach my hair for many, many years in the 90s. So I am kind of brain damaged.
Did you ever
Yeah,
pass
what
out
happened
from
to
the
our
fumes?
'90s? We used to do when we did years. We did photos. We should bring
I
that back. I
know.
want to
We
see some
haven't done
bleached
that
hair
for a
and
long
Janko
time.
We
jeans.
should. I don't know if I have. I'll have to look.
But I do have the shirt from the Neil Young concert I went to in 1990.
Nice.
Or whatever.
Nice.
So we start off with Richard since it is his playlist.
It is.
All right. Yeah. Neil Young. He is one of my uh, top five favorite musical artists. So when I listen to records and the artists that are on repeat all the time, Neil Young is one of them. And I've been listening to him since I was roughly 12, 14 years old. Don't have a t shirt. Did get to see him one time, though, when he was doing an acoustic show, um, very much like the first part of the Live Rust album, which is kind of like the acoustic set, and then he's got the other going on. That was during Transformer or Trans, I should say, Trans tour, but he didn't play anything from that. It was just all this acoustic until the close. Yeah, then he played. He came out on stage with this whole electronic get up and everything, and it was actually pretty cool.
It was. I saw
really,
that tour also.
yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It
But
wasn't
yeah,
as
I
horrible
came
as
up with my 18 songs, and I came up with the list really quickly, like right off the top of my head. In the last couple of days, I've been listening to everything again to make sure. But there's so much, for me anyway, there's just so much excellent, excellent material. I mean, there's no songs in my playlist from this one, Prairie Wind. Nothing from that. I don't have anything from Harvest Moon in my
Yeah.
playlist. Um, then I don't have anything from On the Beach. So, and then there's a thread going through here. I mean, there's an obvious thread with my selections of what they all have in common, but there's a not so obvious connection with a majority of the songs. So I don't know. See if you can figure it out. But I'm going to start with there's two albums. I have four songs each, so 8 of the 18 are coming from two records, and I realized, man, I've got to bring some others in here because seriously, some of these records I could just list all the tracks on the record because they have hits, but they also have really excellent deep tracks. And the first one is from this one, Zuma, "Looking for a Lover" is my number 18 song. Got this record, when it came out. So what was I, 14 when it came out? 1975. I was 15. Math is I was 16 or 17. Yeah, I was almost 17 when it came out. Um, and man, I just played this entire album all the time. I sing with these songs. Every single song of these, I'm singing along with them. I'm just so familiar with them, but Looking for a Lover at number 18.
Did you sing in like a Neil Young type of comes a time?
Well, you see, that's it. My voice was, like that. I was a tenor, but I didn't have really very good control over my voice. So Neil Young was like easy for me to sing along with. And I just, learned the lyrics so quickly. All right. So then we've got the next two, number 17, Fucking Up from Ragged Glory. I just love that song. And this was also a record where he really returned to form with Crazy Horse, just really kicking it out, 1990. Then the number 16 song is Love to Burn. That's another one of my favorite songs. You find it also, these two songs, you'll find them a lot on the various live releases, the later live releases, like, what is it, Weld and some of the others that came out. Yes, number 15. It's the only one that came from this album, Sleeps with Angels, which there is, I want to get a vinyl release of this because there were two masters. It was recorded originally analog, and then there was a digital master made from that. So, and this sound, the digital sound on this, the entire record, I listened to it last night. So good, just absolutely, and it's such a different guitar tone that Neil is getting with his guitar that, it's not necessarily what you would consider his normal sound. But the song from here is Change Your Mind. I just always love that song. But they're all so good in there.
That was the single. That was the rock radio played that. Change Your Mind. It was like a 5-minute version of it, but
yeah. Right, because it's like 8 minutes or 9 minutes or something like
14
that.
14 minutes.
On the CD. How many?
14 minutes and 40
yeah, 14
seconds.
minutes, right. Yes. It's a long song. And the guitar solo, Crazy Horse, again, they really were such a perfect backup band for him because in part it was they weren't good enough to steal the spotlight from Neil, but they were competent enough and they were good enough to play along with him and really accentuate what he was doing. It was a really great connection. All right, so number 14 is from this record. This is another one I got when I was a teenager, American Stars and Bars. And the little bit of glare here, but the song here is Like a Hurricane. And there are so many great live versions of that song. Yeah. But the guitar solo in the studio recording is really, really excellent. And by the way, all of side A has Linda Ronstadt providing backing vocals. Mm-hmm. And then on side B, the first song on side B has Emmylou Harris providing the backing vocals. And then the rest of the album is him and Crazy Horse. But yeah, the song Hurricane 2 was, according to the biography Shaky, he was in a bar there in Malibu because he has his ranch, up in the hills, but he also had a house for a while, a beach house in Malibu. Mm. And he was out at the bar and he saw this woman that blew him away, but he never talked to her. But after he left the bar, he went back to the house there, the beach house, and he wrote that song, Hurricane. Mm. So a lot of great stories in that from that house. From Live Rust. Now, this is a particular one where I like this live version at what's my number here? Number 13 from Live Rust, and that is Sugar Mountain. Love that song. So special, so uh, heartfelt, so nostalgic, which is Neil Young's forte. A lot of his songs are very much nostalgic, and the song on here, "Like a Child" or "I Am a Child," that's also a really really beautiful song. I love that song.
Yeah.
Let's see, number 12. Oh wow, we've got lightning
Yeah.
going on outside.
Did you hear that about 2 minutes ago? We just got a huge clap of thunder.
Ah,
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
raining really bad
Wow.
here.
oh,
Well, it
not
it
tomorrow,
got
please.
almost 60 degrees today, so and now it's
Yeah, it's
cooling
really
down.
coming down.
There is a
All right.
thunderstorm on this album.
Yes.
Perfect
Then
time.
coming in at number 12 is "Down by the River" from Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. This is his second solo album, but this is really his first solo album because this is where he really, both recording and writing, really things to me really started coming together. A lot of great songs. This is a record of which 4 songs are coming from. In fact, we go back to Zuma now, which was the other one, and that is "Don't Cry No Tears." It's a song I believe he wrote when he was like 14 or something like that. But again, this album, I sang along with every freaking song. "Cowgirl in the Sand," oh, wait a minute, I skipped up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Went from Sugar Mountain to "Down by the River." Oh, number 11, "Words." That's the only one I have from Harvest. Did I pull Harvest? Yes, I did. And "Words" is, to me, a really excellent song because of the way it addresses aging and loneliness and isolation.
Mm.
And then at the same time, very much like what Neil Young would do, he will bring in lines that have nothing to do with the song. There's a few songs where he does that. The song is about one thing, and then he'll throw in some lines that, after the Gold Rush has a line like that, where it just really, what did you just say, kind of thing, and then he just does that. Okay, so "Words Between the Line of Age." And speaking of, now we're into the top 10, and the number 10 is "After the Gold Rush." Again, there's so much glare here, but I don't know. It's hard for me to explain sometimes, the connection I have with the songs and the lyrics with Neil Young, because as I said, I would sing along with every single song, almost every time. Then at number 9 is "Don't Cry No Tears" from Zuma. That would be number 9. Number 8 is "Cowgirl in the Sand." Just a classic number by him. And this is up in the mountains of Monterey near where his ranch is. Or wait a minute. At that time, he was living in that canyon just north of Los Angeles.
Laurel Canyon?
Not Laurel Canyon. It's closer to the coast. Or maybe it is Laurel Canyon. I can't remember. But yeah, that's where he was living, I think, at that time. Let's see. Number 7 from After the Gold Rush. "Tell Me Why. Is it hard to make arrangements with yourself when you're old enough to repay, but young enough to sell?" Yeah, what a great song. So many good. He's got hits on all these records, but there are just so many great deep cuts.
Yeah.
And I'm getting affirmation from the world around me. My favorite song from Harvest comes in at number 6, and that is Out on the Weekend. That song from the first time that I played it, just such a connection with it. Out on the weekend trying to make it pay. Yeah, that was kind of like teenage years and struggling with my own identity at that time. Because I felt like I could not be who I really was. So, trying to make a weekend pay was a little challenging. Okay, number 5. Drive back to your old town. I don't want to wake up. I want to wake up with no one around. There we go. Yeah, Drive Back. Jesus, what excellent guitar playing in that song. Then number 4 is Cinnamon Girl from Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. Just a classic riff. It's a riff that everybody, as soon as he starts playing, you know what it is. Then from also Everybody Knows This Is, from Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere, number 3 is Losing End. That song, again, I would be just singing along with, went into town to see you yesterday, but you were not home. I just like the way he added this country twanginess to these songs. I think that's what Harvest was the first album I ever listened to by him. But then I realized that with all the other material that he was doing, he really was taking folk and country and rock and just bringing them together in a style that was just, to me, riveting. Number 2, also from Zuma, You're Such a Stupid Girl. You really got a lot to learn. Yeah, great song. Kind of a song too, because at that time I'm 15, 16 years old. I'm almost singing it, thinking of myself being the stupid girl. I've really got a lot to learn, but I need to start living again and just keep moving on. But my number 1 song, by far, clearly, any of these other songs I could move around. There's so many other songs that I could pull into my list, but my number 1 song is Powderfinger from Rust Never Sleeps. It's a strong song. It's a sad song. It's a song that kind of makes you a little bit angry. It's a song that a lot of people talk about. About what's going on. But I just love the story that's being told in that song, and again the guitar playing that he's doing with Crazy Horse in that, absolutely amazing. Powderfinger by far. In fact, there is a song on here. I can't remember now which one it is, but you hear fire crackling, or maybe that's on. That might be American Stars and Bars. That might be. It was a song he recorded next to his fireplace. And then, yeah, that was American Stars and Bars. He recorded it next to, or by his fireplace, and then he took it to the studio to add the other layers of guitar and instrumentation to it. But anyway, there's my list with Powderfinger at the top. Now, there's 16 of those 18 songs have something in common. And it's not just the fact that these were all with Crazy Horse. There's another factor. So think about that and see if you can figure it out.
Wow. So Neil Young, I grew up, growing up in like the early 80s, I was a child of classic rock. I was Zeppelin, the Stones, Hendrix, Neil Young, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I lived for all that stuff. And in high school, I had every Neil Young CD. When CDs started coming out, I had every one. I know, obviously, I purged them. I do have a few records. I hadn't listened to this, Richard. This is such a great record. It was just one that I never really played all the time. What's wrong?
It's all right.
No, Robert was, and that is the consensus
Oh, I
of
love
a lot of people.
Well,
Zuma
yeah, and
is
it was
just
kind
not
of
that
panned.
great of a record for a
Yeah,
lot
it was
of
kind
people.
of panned when it came out. And then this is my favorite. I think this is his best record. I love this record. And then I have everybody knows This Is Nowhere, which is just as good. They're all great records. I also have Trans, but
I would like to get.
I'm not
Trans.
showing anything from that record. So man, going through some of these, I had a list of like 32 songs,
Yeah.
and I narrowed it down to 22. I'll just go from 20. Well, Mansion on the Hill from Ragged Glory. I love that freaking song. That's a great late career Neil Young song. I love that guitar riff. I think it's great. Number 21 I had was Looking for a Love. That's a beautiful song. I love that. So then at 20, I had Carl. My list is going to be so much different than yours, Richard. I mean, a lot of the same songs, just different orders. But like you said, this next song could have been in my top 3 or 4. And that's Cowgirl in the Sand. It's just a quintessential Neil Young, that guitar work. It's when you hear Neil Young, when you hear his name, you think of a song like that. It's the epitome of Neil Young's guitar sound and everything. And same with the next song that I put at number 19, Cinnamon Girl. I mean, every kid who picked up a guitar for the first time, that was a song that you always learned. It was just, you had to learn that guitar riff. Number 18, Four Strong Winds. I love that song. Was that on Harvest? What's that on? I forget what it's on.
That's Four Strong Winds.
It's on Harvest. Yeah. Great song. Really good song. And that's the thing about Neil Young. The deep cuts are so good. There's so many deep cuts, but I couldn't leave hits off of it because I love all these hits too.
Right.
At 17, I had his version of Lotta Love. It probably isn't the best version of Lotta Love, but it's such a beautiful song. I love it. I had to have that on my list at 17. Another one at 16, I had Going Back, which is on Comes a Time, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's the first song.
First song, right? Terrific opener. I love that. Number 15, another quintessential Neil Young song, Like a Hurricane. I mean, probably is, well, maybe not his best known song, but definitely one of the most popular Neil Young songs. Number 14, I had Tell Me Why. Love that.
Tell me why.
Yeah, it's just
Is it
beautiful.
hard?
There's not a bad song on that record. That album is perfect. It's so damn good. Needle in the Damage Done. What a depressing, hard to listen to song, but it's great. Yeah, and it's funny, I've seen Neil like 3 times live, and he usually plays that, and the whole crowd sings like this most depressing song. It's a rough freaking song, and the whole crowd sings it. I mean, everybody knows every word to Needle in the Damage Done, but it's like, wow, this is not a happy song. Till the Morning Comes. Kind of a deep cut. I like that.
Yeah.
Number 11, Heart of Gold. A song that could have been in my top 3 or 4, but isn't. Number 10, Powderfinger. Another one of those quintessential, it comes on and you know it's Neil Young. Immediately you know who it is. Number 9 is a deep cut song that I absolutely love. It's on this, I believe. I love it. It's great. It's called Birds. It's a really, really sweet love song, losing a love. He wrote a lot about losing love. And I just love that song. I've always really enjoyed it. Uh-oh. There he is.
Richard messing things up again.
Number 8. Almost didn't make my list, and then the more I went and listened to that album, The Loner. Great.
Did you want to wait until we were in the right order?
No, keep going.
No, okay, go ahead.
The Loner from
We'll trick
that's his
people.
debut solo record, which also I believe got really panned. I don't think that sold at all. But the revision of history on it, people like it now. But it's all right. It's not great. But the
single
Loner
version
from,
of the Loner was a lot better.
yeah. The live versions, a lot of his songs are much better. Number 7, After the Gold Rush. Making me dizzy. After the Gold Rush is
That's
number
where
7.
I belong.
A song at number 6, which I just adore, is Walk On. What a great, upbeat, fun song. Just great.
Which one is that from?
That's on, what is that on? That's on, is it A Day at the Beach or whatever? What's it
On
called?
the
Yeah, that
Beach.
one.
On the Beach?
Yeah. On the Beach, yeah. I actually have
Yeah.
2 songs.
That's the opening track. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a great song. Just fun. Number 5 is a late career one that I always really enjoyed, and it's Crime in the City. I really dig
Oh,
that
wow.
song.
That's
It's
crazy.
it's one of those ones that's
Yep.
just like, yeah, it's on Freedom. And there's some other stuff on there, but that's my favorite song on that record. It's really good. Number 4, the beautiful I Am a Child. It melts me. It's just so damn good. Number 3. This is coming out of left field, and it's mostly a personal reason. But Love Is a Rose. What's that called? It was just released, that album. Richard
Barn?
probably doesn't have it. It was
Barn?
one of those albums that was shelved. It's on that.
It's on
Oh,
Decade.
Harvest?
It's also on that. Yeah, it's on Decade.
Stampede.
Harvest?
It's the one that came out about 2 years ago. It was an album
Yeah,
that was
Harvest.
shelved, and I forget what it's called.
Stampede, right? No?
I don't know. Anyway, Love Is a Rose.
This one, or Homegrown. Homegrown.
Yeah,
that's
that's
what I'm thinking.
Homegrown. Okay.
Yeah.
Love Is a Rose. I mean, everyone's covered it, but we used to go see this band when I was in school, and we used to go see this band probably once a month at the local bar, and they always did that as an encore, and it was just great, and it just brings back so many incredible memories of just.
Linda Ronstadt had the big hit with that. That was one of the first songs I ever heard, and I had the
Really?
45 as a kid because it was a country hit. I still have
Yeah.
it. It's probably the first
Oh.
Neil Young song I ever heard, and it wasn't being sung by Neil Young.
Yeah, didn't
I
Linda
know
Ronstadt
that
do it too?
song.
I think
That's
Linda.
what I said, Linda Ronstadt.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
barely hear you. So.
My sister loved that song. It would go around, "Love is a rose, but you better not pick it." Yeah,
I love it.
so really.
Number
45 was
2
for her.
is again one of those quintessential Neil Young songs. It comes on, you know exactly who it is. Is Cortez the Killer?
Yeah.
Fuck, I love that song. Great song. When I was making my list, I had that thing cranked. I was playing it. That is the album. When making this list, that is the album I listened to the most. Mostly because Richard had so many songs from it on it. But
It's a lot longer on here.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like 8 minutes long. It
Yeah, the
fades
live
out
was
on
it.
Zuma,
Yeah,
I think.
it's pretty long on Zuma. Anyway,
Oh, it is.
and number 1 is my absolute favorite. I knew my number 1 even before, is Down by the River. That song. I mean, it's the verses are kind of a love song with like the la la la's. It's real soft and pretty, and then the chorus is, "I shot my baby down. I shot her down by the river." It's just so brutal and honest, but then it goes back into like a love song again, and then that guitar work, that first guitar solo, sounds like gunshots. It really does. If you listen to it, it sounds like gunshots. And it goes on and on. And that is my favorite Neil Young song. I saw him, we went down to the Beale Street Music Festival down in Memphis about 6 or 7 years ago. And he was the headliner this second night. And he was with The Promise. Is it Willie Nelson's kids band? They were backing him up.
Luke Nelson and
Yeah.
the Promise of the New, I believe, is what they're called.
Yeah. And they backed him up, and they came out and they opened with Down by the River. I'm telling you, it was 35 minutes long. I mean, even people are just like, okay, Neil, kind of end this.
When
But
Neil
it
starts
was
playing, man, when he
it
gets
was
going.
phenomenal. And that Nelson kid, he is an
He's,
awesome guitarist. And they
was
just
just really
traded
good.
riffs back and forth. And Neil was just in. You could tell he was just in music heaven, and it just went on and on and on. And I mean, it was one of my favorite concert memories of all time. It was phenomenal. So yeah, Down by the River. I will never get tired of that song. The guitar work on there is great. It's sarcastic, but the whole thing is great. I love it. So that's it. Yep. And I left off so many songs. I literally had 30. I think I had like 32 songs, and so many I could have put on there.
Yeah, I mean, I had to leave off a bunch too, and I didn't want to have this hit filled, but there are a lot of hits on mine. Neil Young was the first concert I ever went to as a sort of a concert going person, going with a friend to a concert. I mean, I went to see the Oak Ridge Boys with my sister and brother-in-law when I was 7 at Six Flags and stuff like that. But as far as the first real concert with an Elvis Presley impersonator opening, but the first actual, people talk about their first concert, they went with a friend and saw a rock concert. Neil Young was my first. I was not allowed to go to concerts when I was in high school. My parents would absolutely not even allow me to go to St. Louis, let alone a concert. And so I didn't see a real concert until I was 20 or maybe, but I was 20, I think, 19 or 20. And it was Neil Young on the Harvest Moon concert at Riverport Amphitheater. And he comes out, and Riverport has these 2 columns. And I saw this once and never saw it again. And the columns are actually, the entire sides of the stage go up. And they just look like a decoration, like a Coliseum type thing. They're actually pipe organs.
Oh.
And he starts playing after the Gold Rush on this organ, and the whole thing is just like resonating. We were back, and it was just like insane. I never saw anything like that. Never heard anything like that again. And I saw Neil Young twice. First time was definitely better than the second time. The second time I think was part of Horde Fest or some sort of festival, and it was not that good. Number 18 is from this concert, from this tour, from this album, and it's the title track Harvest Moon. Because I'm still in love with you. It's just, that song I thought it was pretty cool to begin with. And then all these years later, it just has a meaning to me now because I've been with the same person for 20 years. It's really the only person I've ever been with. The only guy, the only love interest or whatever. I didn't I didn't have a lot of boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever. So, and we're going on 20 years, and that's so now that song even means even more. Number 17 is another love ballad, believe it or not. It's Round and Round, It Won't Be Long from the first Crazy Horse album. Everybody knows This Is Nowhere, which title track could have been on this list too. That's another great song. Title track is number 16 for the album Time Fades Away. This album is what you get when you've just had a major success. You've gone middle of the road, but guess what? Everybody's into drugs. Everybody's completely over-embellished, and now everybody's pissed off and drunk and drugged up, and we're going to make an album that's half live of new material. Time Fades Away is the first song on there. Number 15 is what happens when you suddenly get started. You get a new moniker, and everybody starts calling you the Godfather of Grunge. And you decide to team up with Pearl Jam for an album called Mirror Ball that came out in 1995 or 96. And the song was the single off of that called Downtown. People don't like this album, and I do not get it. This album's great all the way through. Pearl Jam and Neil Young sound great together. I really was happy that they were able to take those two, and because at the time grunge was so anti rock and anti-80s rock, anti-classic rock. You couldn't be into Boston and be into Pearl Jam. You couldn't be into, Motley Crue and be into Nirvana. You had to pick, you had to go. And so it's great that Neil
Journey.
You couldn't be into Journey and be into Stone Temple Pilots, even though it's the same music, pretty much. Number 14, I'm surprised. I was really surprised Mike mentioned this one. My number 14 is Crime in the City. Yeah. I love the different crime elements, and I love that the second one is the rock producer that's gonna get the songwriter in there and totally screw him over. It doesn't blatantly say that, but if you kind of read between the lines and you know what he's talking about, that's what's going to happen. They're going to find somebody who is hungry. They're going to find somebody who is talented and make sure he's alone. it just like a bank robbers, they're going to rip him off. They're going to steal his song and they're going to put it on the album because the album's got great music, but it doesn't have any songs. You need a songwriter. And so, yeah, that's basically the producer talking to somebody else. And Crime in the City. Number 13 is the movie put to music. Some people tell stories, like Richard said. I think it's more like a movie, Powderfinger, about the white boats coming up the river and, the sad story of all of that. And they're going to take over the land and Dad's gone, so I'm here to, the young guy's here to do the thinking, and he's got is a gun, and he's probably going to shoot once, and then next he's shot and killed, and the song ends, spoiler alert, but it's more like a movie unfolding. It's so vivid and so well told, but it is a sad song. Another sad song is at number 12, and that is The Needle and the Damage Done. A little part of it in everyone, but every junkie's like a setting sun. Yep. And he would know. I mean, he had the friends that died and was right there. The guitar player that where was he? A guitar player? What was he?
No, there was the guitar San Pedro or one of the Crazy Horse guys.
Yeah,
and then there was also his stage guy who he would set up his guitars for him.
That's who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and stole the guitar to pay for drugs and wouldn't admit it and. Then ended up overdosing, and Neil Young apparently in concert freaked out one time and just goes, "You put the guitar in your arm! You put the guitar in your arm! You put the guitar in your arm!" for like 20 minutes. And the audience is like, okay, dude, put the guitar in his arm. What the hell is this guy on? So yeah, he had some definite tragedy in his life. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Number 11 is After the Gold Rush, but like Richard said, the live Rust version.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite live albums of all time. I love the After the Gold Rush. And of course, you got to love it when he says, "I felt like getting high." And the whole audience cheers because, hey, woo, getting high. But it is a beautiful song beyond that. But I used to work at a Blockbuster Video in my hometown, and then I switched stores and worked in a smaller store in Creve Coeur, Missouri, where I was the assistant manager. And so I would open the store by myself, and the manager wouldn't come in until later. And so we had a very small music video section. And so it got to the point where it became a ritual. We had Neil Young's Rust Never Sleeps, which is a concert movie as well as being that album.
Right. Yep.
I wish I could find that on DVD or something,
right.
But Blu-ray would be great. But we had the VHS of it, and the monitors are up hanging from the ceiling, so I couldn't really see what was going on. And I'm not going to stand there and watch it. I had work to do. But every time before the store opened, it became a ritual. I would put that in and listen to it. So I probably heard that thing 200 times. There's actually songs in the movie version that aren't on live Rust, like Thrasher, for instance, is
really?
A live version of that's not on the live Rust album. But I know every note of that. I know the songs on there, some of them better than I know the studio versions, and it's all because of that. Because it was either listen to that or put in a movie, which you're going to listen to a movie while you're trying to do that's not going to work. Or it was the other music videos, like this was 90. It's probably 91. So what is it going to be? Vanilla Ice, you're going to put in the MC Hammer, Addams Family rap and play that over and over again? No, you're probably going to put in a long form concert video.
I'm there for it.
I used to do Peter Gabriel twice, and then it broke. He had a concert video, and that broke. But anyway, I know live Rust inside and out. Number 10 is Southern Man.
See?
Later,
not on my list.
Answered Leonard Skinner's Sweet Home Alabama, but even though that was kind of a sarcastic answer. But yeah, Southern Man. What a daring song for this Canadian to come out with, just bashing the South for its racism and its not being real with its past. And, a song that, again, could have been written yesterday. Some things don't change. We go to the Rust Never Sleeps album next for Hey Hey, My, Into the Black, containing one of the most famous Neil Young lines of all time, probably the most famous line of all time. It's better to burn out than it is to fade away. And Rust Never Sleeps is the album. And Hey Hey, My. Starts off with an acoustic version called My, Hey Hey. and then you get the one at the end, and the guitar that comes on that is so fuzzed out and so deep. It sounds like an error. You know, people are like, "Is that supposed?" We played that on the radio, and this woman who had never heard the song before, even though she's a rock DJ, is like, "Is it supposed to? I think there's something wrong with that. If that's supposed to sound like that, it's like, honey, the light rock station's down the hall. Why don't you?"
Yeah.
That was one of the great
Jesus.
things about Neil Young's playing, is that he made distortion sound great. I mean, he knew what to
definitely had
do
his
with
own
it.
sound. Big song number 8, "Heart of Gold." I know it's a huge hit. I know it's the single or whatever, but it's a great song anyway. And I love the steel guitar in that. You know, and I'm getting old, so thankfully I found my heart of gold though, long time ago. Number 7 is "Cowgirl in the Sand." It's sort of like "Down by the River" without the murder, so I appreciate the "Cowgirl in the Sand" more. But they both have these long guitar things at the end where the bass and the rhythm guitar just carry this thing that you just over and over, and you don't want it to stop. Do 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 over and over and over again. Another big hit from Harvest, number 6, is "Old Man." My father died, and that song came on the radio on the way to go home. You know, I was living in Springfield and got the call and had to go back to my hometown to, you know, the house I grew up in where my mother lived. My father just died, and that song comes on, and it's a toot 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 for Weekend. And so that was followed by "Teach Your Children." So yeah, "Old Man," the line, and I've talked about this in a video, songs that are special to me or whatever, have a special meaning to me. And just that's my father, is the old man, and it never meant that much to me to mean that much to you.
Yeah,
Is a terrible thing to say, but it was true. I mean, I was definitely closer to my mother. I have an older brother that was always trying to, he's 10 years older than I am. I was always trying to impress my father, and never got the respect I think that he wanted from my father. Never got the approval, and I couldn't care less. It never meant that much to me to mean that much to you. And now that I am older and I'm my father's age when I was alive, I definitely understand him a lot more now. He passed away in 94 or 95, somewhere around 95. And so I definitely understand him a lot more now than I did as a teenager or a child. I understand him a lot more. Number 5 is from another one from this album, "Like a Hurricane." And great guitar riff, a great song, it's a great musical piece, more than just the lyrics or whatever. The music of that and the way it's all put together, and the guitar riff and all that. Number 4 is "Comes a Time," which is great on the Live Rust album, but I love this version better. It's the only song I can think of ever that has fiddles and a violin, which of course is the same instrument. But in the middle of this song, where it goes from the fiddle thing and then goes into the violins, why has that never? I think it's brilliant. It sounds great. I love that song, but I don't know another song that does that. But again, another great version is on Live Rust, but it doesn't have the violins and the fiddles. Number 3, another great song from Live Rust, another version, but you can also get the studio version, is "The Loner." When you see him on the subway, he'll be down at the end of the car watching you move till he knows who you are. When he sees you at your station alone, he'll know that you are. Open wide, it's "The Loner." I have both of these. This album was remixed. It was originally mixed for some sort of a special thing where it could play on monophonic things and sound stereo. It was a gimmicky thing that didn't really work. Neil Young didn't like that, so it's remixed. So if you have the original mix of that, which is usually found with the album cover that does not say Neil Young here, the full thing is just a picture. That's kind of a rarity. Also a thing too, because I'm not going to show this album because I don't have any songs from it, so I'll just go ahead and say that there's also 2 versions of the Zuma cover. There's a textured cover that's like paperish, and then there's the glossy cover as well. And gotta have both.
Mm-hmm.
For
of course.
For whatever reason. So number 2, huge song from Freedom. It's the big single, Rock and Roll, Keep on Rockin' in the Free World. What a blast of 1989 when all this shitty music is coming out, especially rock music, and everybody is completely at that point worried about image and their clothes and their hair and is my makeup right, and I'm gonna get out here in my fucking steel-toed cowboy boots and sing a stupid ass love song about pussy or beer or whatever. He's about the only one singing like this and actually getting on rock radio. And wow, what a breath of fucking fresh air that was.
It was a huge comeback for him, really.
Yes. And this whole album is great and has a lot of different sounds on it.
Was that his first album after the Geffen years?
I think so.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. And like Mike said, it's definitely a comeback. Because he had been off doing weird, doing the trans thing.
The Shocking Pinks.
And do the Shocking Pinks where it's like old ways or whatever. Where the hell's that album? Where he's, doing rockabilly. And then he does this with the Shocking Pinks where it's a horn section and just trying all these different things. And it's like, you know what? Why don't I just go ahead? Daring thought here. Brace yourselves. Why don't I go ahead and be Neil Young? And then he does, and then comes out with that. And what a great message. What a great snapshot of the time. What a great song. Number 1 is the title track, my favorite song, Tonight's the Night.
Didn't even make my list.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
This is not an album for 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday. This is an album for 2 o'clock in the morning. This is a strung out, drugged out, fucked up album that a lot of people are probably not going to like. But if, it's Tonight's the Night. And, man.
Well, they were in a studio recording the album next to, was it the Whiskey A Go-Go? Or it was next to a bar, maybe the Troubadour. And then, so after they'd be recording, they wouldn't even start recording until like midnight. And then they'd be doing tequila shots, and then they'd be smoking dope. And then they'd go next door to this club, and then they would play the album before it was even released.
Oh.
Usually I don't talk that much about pressings, we talk about like reissues and stuff like that from the 2000s. Definitely get the one that's on blotter paper like this. It's probably going to have a messed up cover, faded cover. You get the one that has black labels like this. If you get a later one with the regular Reprise label, it is terrible sounding. I don't know why.
Mine aren't black. Mine are red.
Red? That's craziness.
And it took me a long time to find that pressing.
Ain't no red label. That dude's on drugs. But yeah, Neil Young, Tonight's the Night. Bruce Berry was a working man.
Oh, no.
He used to love that he kind of lied.
Oh, no, I do have the black label one. I'm thinking of the other one,
yeah. Black label. Don't get the regular Reprise one. They did something to it, and it doesn't sound good at all. But that's my number 1, Tonight's the Night. The studio version. The live one's not as good.
Yeah, I like the studio version of it better, too. Yeah, you're right.
He's just backing off the microphone and getting close. I mean, it's so just fuck it. We're just going to make this album. We're all drunk and stoned. We don't care. And
you know what's nice, too, is I think most of his stuff is in print, too, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
I mean, there's
all that later stuff.
Yeah, it's continually being reissued.
Yeah. So. I know Chris Bellman did a lot of the cuts of the early 60s. I think Chris Bellman did this version that I have, and it sounds incredible.
There's another album for Journey Through the Past. I think I showed everything else at least once. Somebody would have talked about it at this point.
You didn't show Trans.
I don't have that.
You don't need it. Geffen. There was a decent song on it. Wasn't it Crazy Love, or what was it called? Little Things.
Craig, what are your choices?
Talking about the I've got a remastered radio version of the Sleep with Angels album where it's been remixed for radio.
Oh. Can we just skip me? Can I first just say, like, sitting here listening to like how passionate you guys are about Neil Young, and how like he means something to each and every one of you, like that, like it warms my heart. It's very impressive. It did absolutely nothing for me, and I did listen to Richard's playlist 3 times. I had a hard time finding the ones that I like. I really enjoyed. I will say that as for the music, and I really enjoyed a lot of that. I When he sings in the higher register, it's like nails on a chalkboard for me, especially on After the Gold Rush.
Oh,
Like,
so you agree with Lauren Boebert?
I don't know who Lauren Boebert is. I don't know who that is, but
Birds of a feather.
Yeah.
huh?
Kindred spirit.
Oh, okay, Lauren Boebert. I don't know who that is, but
You don't want to be affiliated with her.
Lucky
I
you.
want to be affiliated with
I
this
want your
person.
life.
What?
I said, lucky you. I want your
Yeah,
life.
I
You don't
really
know
have
who that
no
is.
clue who that is. I don't pay attention to the world. You all know this. Yeah, I definitely enjoy when he's like more in that lower register, not in that high. Yeah, nails
All
on the
in a
top.
dream.
Yeah, and
All in a
yeah,
dream.
after the Gold Rush was the worst for me. Like, but I think part of it too is like I listen to all these songs, and honestly, most of them I've never heard in my life, except I've heard After the Gold Rush, of course, because Dolly Parton covered it, and then she did it again with Trio with Linda Ronstadt and Emmylou Harris. So that's the only way I've ever heard that song. So maybe that's why it doesn't work for me, because I'm used to hearing those voices on it.
It's possible.
And I actually like Dolly's solo version of it better than the one with Trio.
I like the live Rust one better than the studio
Yeah.
one. He's not quite as high on
He's
that one.
okay. And maybe that's where because I guess I missed that we were supposed to listen to the live Rust when I listened.
Well,
to
you
it.
weren't. Richard doesn't.
Oh.
Richard had the.
It was the studio version. Okay. So the songs I did enjoy, and again, songwriting, music, all of that, I can respect it. It was very impressive, but again, so much of his voice just was not working for me. I enjoyed there's only 8 that I really actually enjoyed. Love to Burn. I really like Down by the River. It was funky. Yeah, the murder, and people get murdered. I like songs like that. So,
You like songs with drama,
right? Powderfinger.
do.
I do. Powderfinger. That was a song I actually knew because Cowboy Junkies did a cover of that. The songs that I did know of it's because somebody else did it. Out on the Weekend was great. Don't Cry No Tears. Losing End, and the one I liked, I actually listened to it several times. I really, really, really enjoyed Cinnamon Girl. So I'm not going to feel guilty that I didn't enjoy it, but again, I appreciate so much of what you guys said about him and about what his music did for you. I felt nothing, and it was. I don't want to say it was like excruciating because it wasn't, but it was almost like, doing math. Just like
you
not
should
in,
listen
for the most
to
part.
Listen to my playlist.
you should
Okay.
listen to
And that's the
America's
thing,
Stars and
too.
Bars
The thing
because you
too-
got Linda Ronstadt all on the one side there, and it's a little different style there.
Okay. What was
Yeah.
that one called?
American Stars and Bars.
Oh, my pen's not.
That's a
right.
whole.
I need to get a
album,
copy
is
of
what
that.
it
Yeah,
is.
no, I'll check it if Linda's on there. American.
And then it is Emmylou Harris singing with them on the first song,
And you know Linda Ronstadt's song "Love Is a Rose," right?
Yes, I know that
Yeah.
song.
That's his
Yeah.
song, and
Yeah.
Nicolette Larson's "Lot
Yeah.
of Love."
Lot of love.
Gonna take a lot of love.
Oh yeah, I know
to
that.
change
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
we are. That's a Neil Young song.
Okay. And yeah, that's the thing. Like with Fithin and Mike's list, like all the songs that you were saying, like I've never heard them. I'm pretty
You
sure.
probably heard "Heart of Gold," I would think.
I don't know. I know I've heard Old Man, but
Yeah.
again, Wilson
the same
Phillips.
album, the same era.
Yeah,
the same
Wilson Phillips
amount
covered
of
that
popularity.
song.
Oh,
So.
well, okay. Wow.
But I've
Wilson
heard his
Phillips.
version. I think that probably might be the only song of him singing his. Like, I think that's might be the only
You
one.
probably know Heart
heard.
of Gold.
Okay.
And maybe even Rockin'
It
in the
was
Free
like
World.
I think Neil Young doesn't
I know
even.
that one.
He tries to run away from Heart of Gold because it just like it was an instant hit on the radio. It was it was all over the place, and you know, it was a song you wanted to run away from.
Heart of Gold put me in the middle of the road, but I prefer being in the ditch. There's a lot more interesting people there.
Yeah,
is what the liner notes of Decades say.
Yeah. So I said 16 of the 18 songs that I picked had something in common besides Crazy Horse, and I didn't realize it until I was listening again. They're all also produced by David Briggs. The David Briggs produced records, most of them were with Crazy Horse. But yeah, a lot of my favorite songs were. He was the producer and the control man in the studio, and it was in the biography Shaky. If you ever are interested, if you haven't read it, you should. Briggs and the other Elliot Mazer and some of the other producers that Neil Young worked with. Briggs doesn't have a whole lot of kind words to say for either of them. Nietzsche, what was the which one was he? What did he produce?
Wow. I don't know the producers. Didn't he produce Tonight's the Night?
He might have.
Maybe. Produced by Neil Young and David Briggs. No, that's a David Briggs production. But anyway, yeah, it was Briggs definitely had this thing with the Crazy Horse sound and Neil's sound, and he did a great job in the studio bringing all of that out.
Yeah.
All right. I would like to get more of the Geffen Year records because, maybe on CD. I don't think I necessarily.
This is an interesting CD called Lucky 13 that was out for a while. It's like a compilation of just the Geffen stuff.
Oh.
And it has an interesting live version of This Note's for You, which I like the lyrics of that song. I just don't like the way the song sounds. And the live version on here is a lot better than the one on the actual album with the horns and the whatever. So Lucky 13 is 13 tracks it's all Geffen. It's the live version of This Note's for You. And it does have sample and hold and a couple of things. It's like a little sample of each album, so you don't have to listen to the entire rockabilly album and the entire country album and the entire trans album, and it's a little bit of all of it. So I would get that.
Yeah. I've never seen that.
It was
there are
like
a few 90s. Good songs in those years. I mean, not everything. There just weren't great albums.
Right. I have Landing on Water, and it's an okay.
Oh yeah, Landing on Water. That's probably the best of them all, actually.
Oh yeah, that's where he's starting to be himself again, and then Freedom is right back in full. But great video for Touch the Night. Where he's the news guy on the scene or whatever. Yeah. So that's our playlist battle of Neil Young. Which playlist do you like best, or do you want to tell us your own favorites? Yes. All covers. Let us know in the comments section, and we've got another playlist coming up. That'll be my playlist, I guess, is coming up.
No, mine's next.
Or Craig's is next with First Aid Kit.
First Aid Kit.
So we'll do First Aid Kit. They have like 4 albums, so it's like the opposite of Neil Young.
Oh,
no, they have
a lot.
They have like 6.
Oh, they have a lot more than 4. They have 6. So a lot less than Neil Young. So
yes, a lot less. A lot less.
That's a lot less.
So we've got that coming up. We'll review the tops and bottoms of the year 1976. We've also got Craig's album that we'll review as well. He picked the album Vamp Vision or something.
Transvision Vamp.
We do not do videos just to get
Little-
clicks, people.
little
It's pretty
magnet
Yeah,
obvious.
no one's clicking on that one.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for watching. Please at least consider watching those upcoming videos.
You'll like them.
And we will, yes, they'll be a blast. Especially that 1976 one.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
So,
Yes.
yeah, that's all coming up. Thank you so much for watching. We are the Vinyl Community Guncles. I'm Robert Fitton, along with...
Richard at Calvin Wazoo.
Craig's Vinyl Plethora. Oh, there's your.
Wow.
fancy- Look at you,
Yep.
fancy guy.
Wow. Mike at Hub Tunes.
We'll talk to you again soon, hopefully.